Welcome to Parenting GPS, navigating your parenting journey. I'm Kari Kling, the host of your show. You know, parents and adults in general set goals for themselves. We write things down, we work to achieve them. And we know from research that actually setting goals really helps people accomplish what they want to do. In fact, there was a recent study that said small business owners who, with their employees, created vision boards had an 80% rate of accomplishing those goals. Well, if it works so well for adults, what about working that well for children? My guest today is an expert in vision boarding with children, and she is amazing, and her ideas are so powerful, and it is my joy to share her ideas and introduce you to Karissa right now. Karissa holds a bachelor's degree in child development and family studies with high honors. She is an educator, a children's life coach and consultant, and has been working with children for 13 years. And she, I have to share with you, Karissa and I have never met in person. During the quarantine, she connected with me. I was teaching a class and she contacted me. Wasn't able to do the class that day, but we've been connected ever since. And so Karissa, thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kari, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's my joy. And so Karissa, how did you become so passionate about doing vision boards with children? What happened?
So, Kari, this date back to about 8 years ago, I believe, or 7 years ago, my husband had passed away, and I was at the lowest point of my life. And a friend invited me to a vision board party, and I wasn't interested. So I started to do a little research, and I realized what a vision board was. I don't know if it was the art of it, but I became so interested, and that was my first vision board at the lowest point of my life.
And I know we have talked, and you said it was a key to some healing and beginning to feel alive again.
Exactly. It just brought me out of like a deep, deep depression so I could focus on my dreams and my goals.
Yes, and I'm so sorry about what happened to you and your husband. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
But you took a very tragic situation and you learned how to pull yourself out of it. And now you're using those gifts, if you will, to help children achieve their goals and to have an idea about what is in my life. What do I want to do? And so for those people out there that might be watching and don't really know what a vision board is, could you give us a brief overview about what is a vision board? What does it look like? What kinds of things would you do to create one?
Definitely. Thank you. So, for a vision board, if you've never created one with your children or for yourself, it's basically putting pictures on a collage. Some could use PowerPoint. You could use words. You could use clip arts from Google, Pinterest, and you could get your favorite old magazines and just cut pictures out and paste them on.
Right. And we're going to talk later in the show about the entire process, because it's more than just cut out a picture and tape it on. We're going to talk about that. And
Definitely.
we're going to show right now, let's show your vision board. The first one that you did. Here it is.
Thank you.
And it doesn't have to look, this is the gift, I think, of vision boards, is it doesn't have to look a certain way. You can do anything you want, any way that you want to do it, correct?
Definitely. Because as parents, you could do maybe a short-term vision board with your children. Say, for instance, the summer is coming up. You could say, okay, what are we going to do for the summer holidays? And they could jot down their ideas and then look for pictures to put on their vision board that capture those ideas.
Absolutely. So it can be short term, it can be long term, and we're going to show some
Long-term.
examples of this in the next segment. Karissa, one of the things that you do with your students, I know, is to create vision boards with your students. Is it something that you do once a year? Is it something you come back to? Do you have them do more than one? And what do you recommend for parents?
Thank you for that question. That's a great question. So what I basically do, vision board is not something that you just want to do and park it. You want to constantly revisit it because remember, it's got short-term or long-term goals. So it's just like, okay, everything, for instance, like an iPhone. After the first iPhone came out, there's other versions, right? So things changes. So you want to just go back and take a look at the vision board, talk about it to your mentor or your parents and see what changes, what you can add, and what you've completed. You can just check that off.
It's such a great idea. And the other thing that I really love the idea of is that a child could have more than one vision board, right? They could have one that's a long-term vision board. They could have one for my summer vacation that's approaching or a family trip. So it could be more than one at a time, correct?
Definitely. You do
Love
not
it.
have to just say, okay, it's just one vision board. It can be a vision board for many different areas in your life.
Well,
And
when
you
we come back, we're going to show our viewers some examples that you've done with your students, and how they can perhaps have a springboard to think about how they could do this with their own children and their own extended family even perhaps. So thank you for getting
absolutely.
us started. We'll come back and share more about creating vision boards with your children. We'll be right back. Karissa, in the first segment, you gave us an overview of vision boards and talked a little bit about they can be short-term, they can be long-term. First, before we talk about the process of how parents or grandparents can help their children put vision boards together, could you share with us a little bit about the idea of doing a family vision board, one vision board for all of the members in the family? What would that look like?
Yes, Carrie, that's such a great and important thing to do because, like, if the family could do a vision board together, this can help the children to connect with your child or your children, and you could tie it into family time. So it's not just the child, the focus is not just on the child, it's on the family as a whole, and it can help your children to become more resilient. They can see what the family goals are, and you can really connect on a deeper level.
Oh, so important. And, families these days are, everybody's running in another direction sometimes with schedules. And I wanted to share with our viewers as well. We have a prior episode. I did a prior episode on family meetings, and I encourage you to go back and watch that because you can easily incorporate the idea of a family vision board or even the process of individual vision boards during this time. And I want to just mention that the reason that this is so important, and some people might be like, I don't have any more time. It can be 10 minutes, once a week. It doesn't have to be a big, huge amount of time. But in that video, in that episode, I think it's important to bring up now is that there are 3 stages of group development. And the group could be, we're talking about the group called your family. And the first stage of that is inclusion. And doing a vision board together really helps support and strengthen that feeling of inclusion and belonging and security. And it's a way to really, as you have said, Karissa, bring your family relationships closer. It's awesome.
Definitely.
So now we know about what a vision board is. Could you share with the people that are watching this, what would you suggest is the process? Do you just say, here's a magazine, go cut out what you like? How would you handle that with the kids?
Again, what I would suggest for the children, and if you're tying it into a family time, you could brainstorm, jot down ideas so the children have an idea of the pictures that they want to print or the magazine pictures that they want to cut out. So you're brainstorming what their goals are, what their dreams are for short term or long term, depending on the topic that you decide to go for. So whether it's summer vacation, or whether it's where do you see yourself in 5 years, or whatever you have for the family, just brainstorm together.
Absolutely. And it's so once the children have an idea, then they can go get the, look for the pictures, draw pictures on, look at something digitally. They could even do a digital, vision board and print it out. What would be the next step? I know that you're a big proponent of kids sharing what they've done. Tell us about that, please.
So definitely, thank you, Kari. So after the brainstorming and everything now is going on the vision board, whether you're using a Bristol board or just a big paper, the presentation part. So that part is allowing the children and the family to take the stage, to stand up and to talk about why they decided they want to do this and the reason behind it. So the presentation is very important because it helps the child, again, it helps with public speaking, it helps with confidence. You can cheer your child on, and after everyone present, you can clap and you can ask questions. So it really helps the child.
Excellent. And then once the child presents it, and if they don't want to right away, I wouldn't force them, let them, maybe share one part of it instead of the whole thing if they feel shy about it. I know you're an advocate of putting it in a place where the kids can see it all the time. Tell us about the display part of the process.
So definitely, thank you, Kari. So basically, when you're finished with your vision board, you don't want to tuck it in the closet or under the bed. The entire goal of the vision board is to manifest what's on the vision board, to see, to visualize. So for instance, if I want to have, say, a red Mercedes Benz, and I put a clip art on the vision board, it's on the wall. Have you ever think about this, Kari? The moment you say you like something, it's like everywhere you go, you're gonna now start seeing that red Mercedes Benz. So you want to have the vision board out where you can see it all the time.
Right. And you just mentioned about a special car that you really like, but it doesn't have to be a tangible thing. It could be a degree. It could be an experience. It could be getting closer in a certain relationship. It can be anything.
Definitely.
And then once the vision board is created and shared and displayed, tell us a little bit about not being stagnant with it when kids maybe get a different idea how they can add to it, or maybe glue something over something if they don't want to do that anymore. Tell us about that.
So definitely, again, you're allowing the children to take the lead. So if they come up with a different idea, if they wanted to do something and the idea changes, allow them to go back and like put something new on the vision board or do another vision board, because nothing is set in stone. It can be changed.
Absolutely. And let's take a look right now. You have a vision board here of some first graders that you worked with where they didn't put as many pictures, they did writing. Tell us about these vision boards, please.
Thank you, Kari. So again, these are my grade 1 students, and I told them about the concept of creating a vision board, but after explaining the vision board, they were excited. So they wanted to see themselves in 10 years. So they were like 6 years old. So they did the math and add 10 plus 6. And they say, oh, when I'm 16 years old, this is what I want. So they decided that they were going to draw and write on their vision board because we were just using the materials that we had in the classroom.
So it doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be getting the idea down and having a place, like you said, to present it and display it, and go back and think about what you said that the kids wanted to do. That's awesome. And here's another example, Karissa, of a 10-year-old student that you had about something she wanted to do in her future based on one of her stories about a family member. Please tell us about that.
Thank you, Kari. So this vision board, it's one of my favorite. So this 10-year-old, she was creating her vision board, and I like the vision board, but I wanted to find out, like, because this is where the presentation comes in and it's really important, because I'm looking at the pictures, but I couldn't tell the story. When she was presenting, her topic was baking is my future. So I asked, why is baking your future? She's like, my grandma was a good baker and she passed away. So I want to bake. So this is in honor of my grandmother. And that was a very special moment.
What a tribute to her grandmother. And I love what you just said, Karissa, about you saw the pictures. There were pictures about baking, but unless she presented it and told the story, you would not have any idea of knowing what that represented.
Definitely.
And I know from being a mom and being a teacher, sometimes we look at things our kids create and we think we understand what they mean, but maybe we don't exactly know what they're thinking.
So true.
So let's come back after the break, and we're going to talk more about what parents and grandparents can do. You know, even if you have a child care, anybody who's working with children, about how you can begin to implement this in the lives of your children. We'll be right back. Karissa, you've given us so many wonderful tools to begin having a vision board. And I love how you said at the beginning about you went to a vision board party. What a great thing to do even at a birthday party, or, you know, another kind of party that kids have. But it's also about mindset. Doing a vision board is about having a growth mindset. And I know you and I are both big on encouraging children to have a growth mindset. Can you share a little bit with us right now? What do you see as a growth mindset, maybe as opposed to a fixed mindset? And then what are the tools that you use in getting kids to get more in tune with that mindset?
Thank you, Kari. So definitely, so vision board helps children to have growth mindset, because with growth mindset, children are learning that they can improve their skills and they can work at something, and mistakes are okay. You just need to try again. With a fixed mindset, it's like, I can't do that. I will fail. I'm afraid. So a vision board can be used to kind of just like support children's growth mindset in the things that they can do. And there are lots of books we can use to promote those as well.
And, you know, let's take a moment right now and show your slide of some of your favorite books to help children, younger children, and all the way through teenagehood, to help with developing a growth mindset. So
Definitely.
what are some of your favorites? We're showing the screen now.
So one of my favorite is the Big Life Journal, and they're on Instagram, Facebook, all over. And if you follow them, you can realize they have daily edition. They have the ones for teens and they have the one for younger children. My favorite one for the teens is Life Strategies for Teens by Jay McGraw, and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens.
And how do those books promote a growth mindset in teenagers?
So with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, I remember one of the habit is being proactive, or begin with the end in mind. So it's teaching you about all those good qualities that we as adults try to have, that children are learning from young.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, so many of those skills about prioritizing and one step at a time, you know, so many of those are involved with our executive function, which we know isn't fully developed until, you know, kids are much older.
Definitely.
But these things are steps that will help them begin to develop those skills. You just talked about some of the books that are your favorite for teenagers, Karissa. What are some of your favorites for young children?
For younger children, I have definitely like the ones I Can Do That Yet, I Can Do Hard Things. It's just little like books for smaller children that can encourage skills such as like resilience, confidence, etc.
Absolutely. And, you know,
journaling, Kari. Journaling is very important.
Tell us more about the journaling and how that connects to the growth mindset and vision boarding process.
With the journaling, children can journal just as simple as like how was your day today and what was the best part of the day? So each day they can find something that they like and something they're thankful for.
Putting thoughts in writing is so important. And another powerful strategy, and parents can choose to do this or not, but I encourage it, and I'm sure you do too, Karissa, is to have the journal be interactive. So the child can write something and then the parent can write back and keep it going, so it's kind of a conversation. Because one thing I know after working with children for 40 years is that many times children will write things that they won't come out and say. Do you agree?
Definitely, definitely, because they can express themselves
Yes. And
the
so
way they
many
want.
times we think, children are okay. Maybe something happened in their life that, maybe there was, a major change in the family in some way, maybe a move, maybe a new school. And if they're not talking about it, many times parents think they're doing okay. And
That
they're
is
not
so
always doing
true.
okay because they don't verbalize it as well.
I agree, Kari, definitely.
One other thing that I'd like to come back to that you said earlier in this segment, Karissa, is about um, getting kids to realize that, what, maybe I can't do this now, but I can. I just need the steps to learn. And that's obviously part of a growth mindset. But the younger the child, the less ability, if you will, they may have to see that. With so many young children, and I'm making a huge generalization here, but with many young children, it's either I can or I can't. And that's it. And there's nothing in between. We have to show our kids, yes, you can, and we can learn, and I'll help you, and they're supported. What are your thoughts about that?
Thank you, Kari. So again, this is where affirmation comes in. And affirmation for me is a big part of the vision board. So you can have your children cut out their favorite quotes or the quote that you have for them as a family. Like, I am strong, I am confident, I am more than enough. The more you read it, the more they believe it, the more they hear it, the more they feel like they can achieve it.
Well said. Beautiful. And speaking of doing that, we have some questions from our viewers that want to know more from you about how to do this vision boarding process with their families. And we're going to take a break. And right after the break, we're going to come back and I'm going to have you answer those questions. We'll be right back. This is the part of this show where we help you find the way to meet your family goals and your parenting wants and needs, and we call it your parenting destination. We have two questions today, Karissa, from our viewers, and I'm going to read them to you now. Our first question today is from Becky from Eugene, Oregon. I love the idea of creating a vision board with my two children, ages 8 and 15. But I'm afraid that if I suggest doing one, they won't want to do it. Do you have any suggestions of how I may begin to approach this with them?
Sure, that's such a great question. So my answer to this question is try not to suggest to do a vision board to your children. Allow them to be part of the process. Make it fun. Tie it into family times. Do a vision board for the family. Ask them their ideas and ask them to help create the name for the vision board.
That's a great idea to have a title for it.
Definitely.
So it's not about, okay, now we're going to do this new thing. It's about, hey, this is something that, we can do for our family and help remind us of our goals, because sometimes we all get busy and, we all get off track a little bit.
Definitely. And the great thing, Kari, that just came to mind, maybe starting off with a family vision board is the best thing to do before you go to that individual vision board with the children.
I love that idea. I think that's a wonderful way to start.
Make it fun.
So baby steps. It's all about baby steps.
Yes.
Our second question today comes from Matt from San Marcos, California. And Matt writes, once I hopefully create a vision board with my girls ages 6 and 8, what do I do next? How can I help them zone in and take the steps to actually reach their vision that they created? Great question.
Such a great question. Thank you for that question. So my suggestion would be, this is where I say the children have a mentor, whether they're parents or caregivers or older siblings. So you're going to work with your mentor and ask questions like, I wanted to do this. How do I achieve this? And so they're getting the feedback, and then you can start working on a goal and a time limit and how they can achieve that goal. So the more questions that they ask, the more you do the research with them. So what if they say, oh, I want to go to Disney? Okay, let's go and look. What's the cost for the flight? Where will we stay? So that's the part that you start researching with your children.
And so many academic skills are involved.
So many.
Depending on the age, obviously you're not going to ask a 3-year-old to figure out how much it will cost for the gas, but an older child, you could say, if the average amount of gas costs this much and we have to go this many miles, they can help budget, they can help prioritize, they can help look at what to see on the way. I mean, that's just one example. There could be, a million examples. And so I think what I'm hearing you say to answer Matt's question is, it's about supporting our children and modeling for them first about, how to find out, okay, you want to learn more about, let's go back to your example about baking. Just because her grandmother baked and she wants to do that because of her grandmother doesn't mean she knows how.
Exactly.
So, maybe some YouTube videos, making something in the kitchen together. Again, it's about baby steps.
Sorry, Kari, they're basically providing the tools to help support the child.
The support, and that's what it's all about, is the support, the modeling, the believing in, and then to recognize, I think, when the children do accomplish something, in fact, they did something, or even the research, to acknowledge about, wow, you used your initiative to go look at that by yourself, or you were so resourceful. You used curiosity to find out more about that. And so really to use every step of the way as a teachable moment.
I like that. Perfect.
Yeah, it's so many opportunities. Karissa, we could talk about this forever, but the goal is really just to give parents and grandparents, anybody with children in their lives, the idea about doing this, and to say, okay, here's where you can start. Here's some key points, if you will, to help you create this path for your child. If people want to find out more, Karissa, how can they find you and get more information?
Thank you, Kari. So on my social media, on Instagram, you can find me at Karissa, which is KARISSA.inspires, or Equipped to Win Gold.
And we'll be showing that on the screen. And so people can follow you and get more ideas. And I want to also invite people not only to follow Karissa, but you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at karikling.parenting. We have new shows every week, and my goal is to provide information, content, strategies, and resources, no matter where in the world you live, no matter how old your children are, that you can watch one of these shows, and right after the show, you can say, you know what, I can do this. I can implement this with my child if that's what you choose to do. And so, Karissa, I just want to say thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Kari, for having me. It was a blessing.
Oh, it's a blessing to me. And I'd like to end with a quote that is one of your favorite quotes, and it fits so beautifully to what we're talking about today. And it's by Tom Elmore, and it says, we have to prepare the child for the path, not the path for the child.
Definitely.
Thank you for being here.